Hey family. So on this one, I want to do something a little bit different. Hey, I'm going to be talking about the common worldview by teaching and action and how it didn't make sense and I agree with it, um, and how that impacts my thinking. Out of nothing and chaos, we have stability to an extent, right? That this world evolved over billions of years and that there's no purpose in life.
They believe 18 or 20 billion years ago, nothing exploded in the Big Bang and made everything. And then 4.6 billion years ago, the Earth cooled down and a rocky surface was created. Yes, boys and girls, the planet Earth cooled and a rocky surface was created. This is what the textbooks teach. And as Earth formed, it was like the moon. It was hot and there were large pools of bubbling lava. But slowly, rocks absorbed the oxygen. Notice this textbook says the percentage of oxygen was 0, but the rocks absorbed it. I wondered about that when I said, it's a college textbook. Yeah, there was nothing there, but they absorbed it all right. Yeah. So the rocks absorbed the oxygen, and then it began to rain on the rocks. Oh man, oceans formed as it rained for millions of years. Millions of years of torrential rains created great oceans. And swirling in the waters of the oceans is a bubbling broth of complex chemicals. Progress from a complex chemical soup to a living organism is very slow. Boy, I guess it is. It's totally stopped. Doesn't even happen. That's how slow it is. This book says the first self-replicating systems must have emerged in this organic soup. So their theory says 20 billion years ago, Big Bang, 4.6 billion years ago, the Earth cooled down. It rained on the rocks for millions of years, turned them into soup, and the soup came alive 3 billion years ago. And that first life form found somebody to marry. Now there's a good trick. And something to eat, of course, and slowly evolved into everything we see today. So great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandpa was soup.
We never had evidence of perfection and stability out of chaos, right? We never saw the evidence of the evolutionary process, only adaptations of species. Now, some individuals will call this microevolution. That's fine, right? The Earth itself is studyable and has symbiotic relationship with mankind. So what do I mean by that? When I look at our planetary system and the sun, you see how the Earth is perfectly spaced for us, right? We got Venus and we got Mars, an example of if we were a little bit too far or if we were a little bit too close, that is inhabitable for mankind. But yet we're perfectly positioned in this solar system to be able to receive enough temperature to be able to keep life going. How it actually provides nourishment and sustenance for fruits, and that all of these things have microbiological benefits for mankind. How what we breathe out is beneficial to the trees, and what the trees and plant life breathe out is beneficial to us. This sort of symbiotic relationship. When we look at the complexities of the human body, right, it doesn't make any sense of it not moving in congruence with each other.
So if the chicken came first, it then laid an egg. Okay? Was the egg fertilized?
Don't know. The egg?
The egg?
Yes.
This chicken that produced the first egg, was the egg fertilized?
It would have to be.
There's a rooster.
So there was a rooster.
There's a rooster and a chicken. Where do they come from?
It came from the stars.
No, you came from your parents.
Obviously I did, yeah.
Where did they come from?
And they came from their parents.
And where did they come from?
From their parents.
Right back to Adam.
Correct.
Adam was created by God, and he made male and female, and he made the birds of the air and made them male and female so they could reproduce after their own kind. Okay, explain this to me. If you really believe in evolution, before it had eyes, how did it see? The eyes have to evolve because the thing's evolving from stardust.
Correct. So they probably didn't see, they felt.
Did it have a brain? Or couldn't have had a brain until the brain evolved. So how did it think to look for food, and where did the food come from? And why did the food evolve? And did it have lungs? Do you think the chicken thing, before it evolved into chicken, had lungs?
I'm not too sure. It's all about survival instinct, so you know.
It's not going to survive. It didn't have lungs. And if it breathed air, was the air 20% oxygen as it is now? And why did the air evolve? And why did it evolve lungs? And how did it survive before it had lungs? And see before it had eyes, and think before it had a brain, and eat before it had an appetite? Doesn't really make sense when you think about it, because you've got to translate that to elephants, horses, cats, cows, human beings. Every living thing that apparently evolved from stars had to evolve eyes and ears and a mouth and a nose and lungs and heart and kidneys. Let's go back to something more simple regarding that first chicken that came from the stars. Which came first in the chicken? Was it its blood, or its heart, or its blood vessels? Which evolved first?
I do not know the answer.
Well, if it was the heart, why did the heart evolve when there was no blood? If it was the blood, why did the blood evolve when there was no heart to pump it around? If there are no blood vessels, how did the blood get around the body of the chicken to keep it alive if there's no heart to pump it?
I've always had the doubts. It's like, we've been here for how long and we still haven't evolved, or what are we going to evolve into?
Can you think of anyone that isn't fully evolved? Anything on Earth? Dogs have 4 legs, they have a tongue and eyes and ears. Everything's fully evolved. People they don't have half-evolved leg. You don't see someone with a semi-evolved leg, or half an ear, or half a nose, half an eye, half teeth. Everything's fully evolved, because the Bible says when God created all things, it was finished. So everything's finished. The fruits, the flowers, the birds, the trees, the nuts, the giraffes, horses, cats, cows, everything is fully finished. And what it does is disproves evolution and establishes the Bible in saying that God created everything fully finished with the ability to reproduce after their own kind as male and female.
I read a book, and I think it was given to me by Aunt Celeste, and it was called Life Without Limits by Clifford Goldstein. It's a very, very old book, but in super simplification, this guy went through the complexities of anatomy and biology, and looking at the premise of life, the scope of life, and how complex it is. And in that complexity, it shows that there was intelligent designs from smaller organisms to plant life. And then he talked about how chaos never had bred anything that has been sustainable, right? You even look at when certain aggressive mutations or growth of abnormal cell tissues or occurs in the body, it actually breaks down the body, whether this is a plant life or whether it's a human body within itself. You've never seen a evolutionary process. We as long as we've been on this planet, and as much as change have been occurring, we're overdue at least for one, but we never particularly see it. And it shows that we were created with an intelligent being in mind. And if we're created with an intelligent being in mind, that there is some sort of purpose for us.
Look at the color pictures, and I'll ask you a question. Do you believe that book could happen by accident, that nothing produced the color pictures in the book, that red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet ink fell from the sky and formed itself into those beautiful pictures? And then black ink fell from the sky, or from nowhere, and formed itself into coherent words and sentences, capitals and periods and commas, making sense. Page numbers fell from the sky, all in order, and then it bound itself and formed itself into a cover with artwork, and there we have a book. Obviously, intelligent design designed the book. Wouldn't that be correct?
Yeah.
Can you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Tell me, what is DNA?
What is it? Deoxyribonucleic acid. And it's what makes up our bodies and our cells and everything that makes us who we are.
DNA is like our biological code, kind of like binary zeros and ones. Information about us, who we are, what makes us, parts of us, how we look, how we're built, everything like that.
Your genes instructed your cells how to make your eyes and what color your eyes should be, and your hair and your height and your personality. Scientists call it the instruction book for life.
Basically.
Human being starts out the same way. 2 cells, one from each parent, found each other and became one. And that one cell reproduced itself, dividing and dividing and dividing, until there were 10 trillion of them. Do you realize there's more cells in one person's body than there are stars in the Milky Way? But those 10 trillion cells aren't just sitting there in a big pile. That would make for a pretty boring human being. So what is it that says a nose is a nose and toes is toes? What is it that says this is bone and this is brain and this is heart This is that little thing in the back of your throat you can never remember the name of. Everything that you are or ever will be made of starts as a tiny book of instructions found in each and every cell. Every time your body wants to make something, it goes back to the instruction book, looks it up, and puts it together. So how does one cell hold all that information? The first thing we see is that the whole genome, all your DNA, is contained inside its own tiny compartment called the nucleus. If we stretched out all the DNA in this one cell into a single thread, it would be over 3 feet long. First, the long thread of DNA wraps around proteins clustered into little beads called nucleosomes, which end up looking like a long beaded necklace. Then that necklace is wrapped up in its own spiral like an old telephone cord, and those spirals get layered on top of one another until we have a neat little shape that fits inside the nucleus. Each tiny mass of DNA is called a chromosome. The book of you would have 46 chapters, one for each chromosome. 23 chapters of your book came from your mom, and 23 chapters came from your dad. 2 of those chapters, called X and Y, determine if you're male, XY, or female, XX. Put them together and we get 2 almost identical but slightly different sets of 23 chapters. The tiny variations are what makes each person different. It's estimated that all the chapters together hold about 20,000 individual instructions called genes. Written out, all those 20,000 instructions are 30 million letters long. If someone were writing 1 letter per second, it would take them almost an entire year to write it once. But it turns out that our genome book is much, much longer than just those 30 million letters. In the end, each of our book's 46 chapters is between 48 and 250 million letters long. That's 3.2 billion letters total. To type all that copy, you'd be at it for over 100 years, and the book would be over 600,000 pages long.
This is the secret language of DNA. This is the book of life.
Instruction book for life.
Yes.
Instruction book for life.
Yes.
DNA is made up of genes, and genes give instructions to the cells as to how your body should grow. Did you know that those instructions, the instruction book of your DNA, just your DNA, was laid out end for end, would go to the sun and back a number of times? That book of instructions is so comprehensive. It's our genes that determine whether our skin will be dark or light, have brown or blue eyes, or red or green or yellow, have red hair, be brunette or blonde, be tall or not so tall, or the color of our feathers if we're a bird. Whether we're humans, fish, animals, insects, or plant life, the way our bodies look and operate has all been pre-written in the amazing book of our DNA. What do you think the mentality of someone who believes a book fell together without a bookmaker?
Well, it would be crazy.
The Bible says that a fool saith in his heart that there is no God. I highly recommend you watch the one from Ray Comfort, The Atheist Delusion, and if that's the only one you watch, fine, so be it. The way it's broken down and the way that he breaks it down, it makes it so simple to see at least that there is intelligent design in creating us, and if there's intelligent design in creating us, that there is a creator, and if there is a creator, then we do in our ability and our part to make sure that we at least look into what is the purpose and premise for our lives, right? From my Christian worldview, my perspective, knowing that I was created, I don't think that I'm here by chance. And the fact that I don't think I'm here by chance means that I have a purpose. And the fact that I have a purpose, I see things totally different. When I'm going through a hardship, when I'm going through a challenge, when I'm going through a battle, I think of Romans 8:28, right? That all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord and the accordance of his will, right? So one is for my good, right? The other context is to have his perfected will work out in all scenarios. And to remember, as indicated in Jeremiah 29, verse 11, for I know the plans that I have for you, right? And it's one for us to prosper, right? And with that being the case, no matter what obstacle hit my way, I know that, hey, this is for a reason. It's for a purpose. I might not understand it. It's going to work out for his good, and that God is a loving God and that loves us, and that is working out even this negative situation for a greater good. I hope that was clear. I hope that was helpful. Guys, I highly recommend, one, to give the Bible a chance to read it. You'll find that it's transformative. I do, in regards of the creation and other heavy subject matters, I totally find Living Waters providing good content on that. You know, the Atheist Delusion, where it's the 3 clips that I pulled from. There's also one on 180, and there's another one called Audacity. They're really, really good biblical perspectives on hard to talk about, as well as modern relevant topics that we're dealing with and thinking about in this day and age in society. I don't agree with his standpoint on the Sabbath. I'll do a video about that. Don't agree with his viewpoint on hell, right? The burning forever and ever and ever. Also, Answers in Genesis, they have very good books, as well as presentations that you can watch if you're not a really avid book reader. And then it cross-examined by Frank Turek. He wrote the book I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist, where he poked holes at some of the atheist perspective on creation. Listen, I'm not showing you those individuals and those ministries to have you go into the rabbit hole of finding atheism versus nation, right? The premise is to give you resources for you to be able to watch and make your own assessment. These are, I feel, very good perspective on the Christian creation viewpoint. As you watch, just pray, right? And the God will lead you in the truth. I hope that you'll find this helpful, but I really felt that it was important to share this with you and to share why I believe what I believe and how it has been one of the pillars in helping me to have success, right? In the book of Matthew, Jesus told us to seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and everything else will be added on to you, right? And once I understood that there was a God when searching, when seeking, and I understood that this was too much of a coincidence to be a coincidence, it changed my whole perspective. And then once I changed that perspective, not only did the monetary and other pillars of what the average human being desires in life, but when the obstacles hit, the perspective and the peace that I have is so much different. I don't want, you know what I mean, you to be a Christian because your parents were. I don't want you to say, hey, I believe in God because that's what everybody else is saying. I would like to help you to see there is an intelligent design, there is an intelligent creator, that you were created with a purpose, and that this relationship is personal. A lot of individuals go through the motions, but it's so much sweeter when you have that authentic relationship. I pray that this helps you to be able to find that. And like I said, chop it up, dialogue with your boy. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll do my best to answer. Figuring out in this life journey, God, who he is, establishing that relationship with him. And as I do, I share, right? It's not only a commission, but when you love something and someone, you do your best to share them. So a part of all the other, I don't want to say tips and tricks, but a part of all the other processes in life that I share, that I will share, that has been helpful, I pray that this is helpful as well. And for those who pray, keep your boy in prayer as I pull out all of these subject matters, and I pray that the Holy Spirit will grant clarity and that you will find this a blessing. Thank you so much for taking this time to watch this. Every second that go by, you'll never get back. So I thank you for sharing part of your life with me. To be continued.